Hey guys, stoked to be here. It's another beautiful day. Hey, can you guys let me know how the audio sounds here? You might notice that my voice is a little bit tired. I've been doing a lot of talking over the last couple days at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. It was an absolute blast. I'm tired. It's been super fun. Late nights, talking with everyone. So I thought, rather than, I was going to try and make a little roundup video, but I was like, why not just go live? Just talk about my thoughts in the raw. Hopefully you guys can kind of get an idea of my personal opinion on the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. So great to see all of you guys. Man, thank you for stopping by. I'm going to pop up some of these chats. What's up, brother? Alexander. So many of you guys. Thank you for stopping by. So, as some of you know, I did do the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Some of the photos have been floating around. People are realizing that I'm a lot taller than I look here on camera, which has probably been the most fun part of the week, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, so, wow, we had a lot happen. There was some amazing sessions. I met people that I have been looking up to for years and years and years, and got to meet them in the flesh and just find out that they're all really, really cool people. Everybody was so humble. I had my mind blown with some tips and tricks. It was just so worth every single penny spent to get over to the Creative Summit. So I'm very grateful for FMC for having me over there to speak. I was so outrageously nervous. I knew I had nothing to worry about, but I was so outrageously nervous, sick to my stomach for the first session. But once I got through that first session, it was smooth sailing. I did another session, and I was a lot less panicked about it. It was really an incredible time. Man, I'm just so grateful for it. If you guys ever get the chance to come to one of these Final Cut Pro Creative Summits, highly, highly recommend. It was just an absolute blast. So, again, thank you for stopping by. If you guys don't mind, hitting that like button does help a lot. So this is going to be a pretty open discussion. I love getting questions from you guys, so I'm going to try and go through the questions. But additionally, I want to give my thoughts on the update that's coming out, which is exciting. I do have thoughts about it that I'm going to be expressing, but I also, man, let me collect my thoughts. It's been a wild day, so I'm gonna take a sip here. Okay, so real quick, I just got a good rant about how awesome the Apple campus is. It melts your mind when you're there. The level of engineering that has gone into that place. I'm going to talk about one aspect that just I want this in my house. Okay, so they have this eating area. I wasn't allowed to take photos, otherwise I'd be showing you photos. They have this eating area. It's massive. It's 4 stories tall, nothing between the tables and the ceiling. It's just wide open, right? And the whole exterior is this massive, massive glass door. Glass all the way from the ground up to the ceiling, 4 stories, and it all opens up. And supposedly they weren't able to open it because it was really cold that day, but it's quieter than a human whisper when it opens up. And this is like the biggest door I've ever seen in my life on this building. Just a crazy feat of engineering. So, if they put that kind of work into their building, imagine what they're doing with their products. So that just melted my mind. I was so fortunate to get to go to the Apple campus. So thank you to everybody who made that happen. I know there is a lot of work that went into making it so the Creative Summit could actually go to the campus. So very, very fortunate, very grateful for that opportunity. Okay. That we'll push that aside. That was just so mind-blowing to get to do that. Okay. So let's talk the update. Let me bring up, actually, sorry, I don't have my computer screen here. We'll pull that up here in just a second. I think I should have, guys, I'm kind of new to this. All right. let's see if I can find it. Okay. Now I'm struggling to find it. Okay, well, I'm gonna give my thoughts on the what was said. Okay, so Final Cut Pro is coming out with a new update. I think it's 10.7. Okay, it's got some really cool features that people have been asking for a very long time. One of which being the scrolling timeline, and this is actually a really, really cool feature. I'm surprised it didn't come earlier, but I'm sure Apple did what Apple does. They had to absolutely perfect the waveforms, drawing in. So, of course, it's just a timeline. It's playing through as you're editing, and what it occurred to me is you could edit technically in real time now without the need to keep scrolling the timeline over. Something I do actually quite frequently is I'll just play through an edit, and as I get to an edit point, I'll just push Command B as the timeline's scrolling through. However, of course, you're kind of stuck because your timeline was locked in. So now we have scrolling timeline. That's going to just, again, improve the speed of your editing. Now, I did hear that you can disable the timeline the scrolling timeline if you need to. So for those of you who do not like the scrolling timeline, you're able to wipe that out. Next, I don't fully grasp this, but it sounds awesome. Okay, so they are kind of reworking the exporting system for chips, Apple Silicon that have multiple media engines, right? So some of these chips, this is coming from a non-developer, this is coming from somebody who is not as techie as they should be, but it essentially, a lot of the Apple Silicon chips, they'll have an Apple ProRes enhancement speed engine going on. They have HEVC chips going on. And somehow it sounds like they're combining them both so that your export speeds are extra fast. It sounds magical, and it's going to be incredible when we get to see it in use case. So, very excited about that. Let me think. What was the third thing here? I should check out some of these chat messages too. No DCP export. No, I don't think so at this time. But okay. So scrolling timeline. Oh, the object tracker got an update, and it's very impressive. So they did this live in front of us, which is the crazy thing, because they show it online and you can see how the tracking's working, but they have a moving fence in front of somebody. So there's all this kind of mesh stuff flying past the person walking on screen. But there was also these metal poles that just completely covered the subject. And it was able to track through not just this moving fence, but also to track past those poles without needing to do an offset tracker of any sort. Very impressive, and the most impressive part was that they did that completely live. So I feel like that's a shot that could have very, very easily just blown up. I don't know. So I was really impressed by the new tracking that is coming. So that was the third thing. And then finally is the collapsible secondary storyline. Okay, so I actually wanted to ask questions on this. Unfortunately, the Apple engineers were too busy talking with other people, so I was just kind of looking at the new M3 MacBook Pros, which are super cool in space black. Very, very nice color. But anyway, the second collapsible storyline, it looks like it solves some of my issues with, in particular with compound clips. So with compound clips, I hate that you have to jump inside of the compound clip to get access to the clips that you've thrown in there. So seemingly, and I need to take a closer look at this, but seemingly you can kind of create a compound clip inside of your primary timeline where you can have access to all of the footage that's in that storyline without needing to jump inside of the compound clip. So you're going to have complete context on your timeline. Frequently, you'll get in your compound clip and you don't have the original music that was playing, or you don't have sound effects, or you don't have other edits going on behind it. So it can be hard to know the context of the edit. So that can be a little bit frustrating. So I'm really hoping that this secondary storyline kind of solves that issue. I haven't had hands-on with it yet, but they were demoing it and it looked really cool. So very excited about that. But with all of these amazing updates, and they are amazing, I was expecting a bit more. So this is just my very honest opinion. So I was expecting a bit more from what was, shown to us. So I'll be honest, I was a little bit disappointed at the original announcement, and I left there going, okay, are we, dead in the water? I don't know. But I was able to talk with Bill Davis, who is the Final Cut Pro product manager, and he was able to, honestly, I don't know if his offer on their record, so I'm not going to directly quote him, but he was able to really, he was able to get me excited for the future of Final Cut Pro with what he said. And there was a Final Cut Pro Q&A session that happened, and unfortunately my flight took off before that session, so I wasn't able to take part in that. But just reading what everybody else was saying online about it, and I've linked below fcp.cafe, who is that is run by Chris Hawking, who was at the conference, and he's a legend, and very grateful to have met him. So he was able to kind of break down the overall thoughts and what was said during that Q&A session, and it gave me a lot more hope. It made me feel like we weren't forgotten. He said stuff like, Apple has plans for the next 5 to 6 years for what they're going to do with Final Cut Pro. So it's not hopeless. They haven't forgotten us. They are working diligently to give us the best possible app. Updates are slow, and I can understand people's frustration behind that. But as I've been really considering my thoughts over, what is my relationship with Final Cut Pro, I thought about, I did not originally get into Final Cut Pro because of all of the new features that it had that other places didn't have, other than the magnetic timeline, right? When Final Cut Pro originally launched, it actually came with way less features than most other editing systems. And it's stayed there. It's always a few years behind what other editing systems are doing. That said, Final Cut Pro is the app that enables me to be as creative as possible. It works at the speed of thought, and it just inspires me to edit. So that is why I love Final Cut Pro. Chris Hawking, again, who created fcp.cafe, said it so perfectly. He's like, Final Cut Pro makes me feel like a musician and artist, and other editing operating systems make me feel like a technician. And that couldn't be not farther from the truth. That couldn't be closer to the truth. It's spot on. That's why I love Final Cut Pro. I feel like, my head's getting cut off. It is what it is. I was just like, that is so spot on, and it really, really made me just like lock in my love for Final Cut Pro, right? I was feeling newly inspired, so excited for the future, what's coming down the pipeline. That said, and I don't know if any Apple engineers are watching this little live stream or anything, but I would love just a timeline. Even if it's not a timeline with dates, it's not a timeline that's like, this is exactly what is dropping, but just an overall, these are the features we want to bring to Final Cut Pro. This is what you can expect over the next 5 years. It could just be a long list of things they want to do. We don't know when they'll drop, but that would at least make us feel less forgotten. And I don't know. I think that would be extremely helpful in making the Final Cut Pro community even stronger. I don't think we're going to get that. That's not something that Apple typically does. But I think that something that should be considered is, unlike a MacBook, unlike an iPhone, there doesn't need to be this level of secrecy for an editing app where our jobs, our livelihoods rely on this app. With a MacBook, with a phone, I understand the secrecy. They have competition, but Final Cut Pro is behind the competition right now. It's not going to hurt them to kind of let us know where they're going in the future. So those are my personal thoughts on the update there. But I am feeling newly excited for Final Cut Pro. And even though at the beginning I was initially a bit disappointed, I have left feeling more excited than ever for the future of Final Cut Pro. And no, I'm not being paid to say that or anything. It was just purely how questions were answered, how I was able to talk with a lot of the Apple engineers. And it was just really an incredible experience over at the Final Cut Pro Summit. So that's kind of my thoughts. Now I'm going to open it up to Q&A. I have been getting a lot of comments from you guys, so I've got a lot of catching up to do. We're going to do our best. So let me jump on over to a Q&A screen here, and let me just do this, you know? I made it worse. Isn't that the way it goes, though? All right, let's drink some water. Let's scroll on up. Okay. So let me find some questions here. Oh, It's Circle Time is, what was the one underwhelming thing I took away from this? So the underwhelming thing was just, a hope for more in the updates, right? Because we're looking at the competition, we're seeing what everybody else is getting, and we want a piece of that pie. So that's what was underwhelming. But let's see, yeah. Wildersea was saying no DCP export, though. As far as I'm aware, no DCP export. Vinark is saying, excited to hear about the new features Apple is putting into Final Cut Pro. I've been using Final Cut Pro for over a decade and have been relying heavily on the Adventure Resolve lately. Oh, probably DaVinci Resolve. And I'd love to go back over to Final Cut, I'm assuming. How was the Q&A? Hopefully, I was able to answer that with my little discussion here. Final Cut Pro for the iPad is worthless for me until Apple allows us to edit from an external drive like LumaFusion and Resolve. The Spankman, yeah, I can definitely see that. That was actually, I gave a session on the iPad, and I was able to showcase a whole bunch of ways you can save storage on your iPad, but you do have to have an extremely large amount of internal storage on your iPad. That said, there was Apple reps there in the crowd, and it looked like they were taking notes, and I was dropping hints, so maybe something will come of that. I don't know. We'll see. Universo is saying, hi, my motion for Final Cut always freezes 15 minutes when I tray open app. Unfortunately, I can't, I don't know how to fix that. A door taller than Dylan? I don't believe it. Yes, if you see any photos of me floating around, you might notice that I'm a lot taller than what my camera makes me look like. Hi from St. Petersburg, Russia. Hello to you. Sana is saying she loves my energy. I'm so glad. I feel a little bit less energetic today. I did not get very much sleep last night. I got in super late, but thank you. Happy I got to go there. Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, it was super fun. I did adore the campus. Yes. That was a great pun. Chicago is watching. Hello to Chicago. Do I think they'll finally do vertical stabilization properly and transitions for vertical mode? Adrian, that is a great question. I think that's something that they should heavily look into, because it does feel in a lot of ways like Final Cut Pro might be not totally. There was a lot of really, I should reiterate this. The people I was talking to, these are people directing features. These are people working on TV shows. Final Cut Pro is very, very much so being used in professional workflows. That said, a lot of the most recent updates can feel like especially with the iPad, it feels like, is this for social media creators? So I think that Apple should possibly consider that and say, okay, we need to kind of rework how transitions work for vertical video. We need to rework how, everything for vertical stabilization. Now, I personally have not used stabilization in vertical videos, so I should take a look at that. Maybe I can figure out some kind of workflow or something there. But yeah, I think that would be good. Something that should be said is a lot of vertical transitions rely on the developer of the transition to create a vertical mode inside of Motion. Not always, but a lot of the time that's the case. Okay. Searching for stuff. What system do I use? I have all of my system specs down below. I kind of jump between an M1 Max laptop, and then I also jump between an M2 Mac Studio. Or maybe the machine can't handle the waveform redraw, so better to disable it. Eric, funny you should say this. So talking with Bill Davis, he said that they have tested this on old systems, even back to Intel, and it worked beautifully. So that's the idea. I guess it worked amazing, and Apple's going to do the the redrawing of the waveforms, and so I'm very excited about that. Cullen, great meeting you at the event. You're a legend. Thanks for stopping by the stream. Marcus, hello to you. FX Factory coming in with the facts. Collapse to secondary storyline does exactly what collapse to primary storyline does to connected clips. It eliminates overlaps and sums everything down to a single storyline. So, yep, that's helpful to know. So it doesn't quite solve the issues I have with compound clips, but it is very helpful. Audie Nuff saying, yo, question about storage. I cut off rendering while editing working Final Cut Pro, and the export rate was like days long. I've returned on rendering and just delete the extra files after the edit. Is this wrong? Nope, that is not wrong at all. That's a great workflow. If you have the storage on your computer to do that, that's awesome. I personally turn off background rendering because most of the time I don't need it. And so it just saves me a lot of storage. That's, if you have Apple Silicon, even the M2s or the M3s now, it's a lot less likely you'll need background rendering, but that is a perfectly viable workflow. Dave is saying some Pixel Film Studio plugins cause Motion to take a long time to open. That's actually really good to know. I don't have any Pixel Film Studios plugins installed, so I do get that question a lot. That's really good to know, Dave. Also, bringing in licensed music. What's the best way to bring my fave tracks into Final Cut Pro? Just importing it like footage works beautifully. That's how I do it. Let's see. Hawking said we can't expand these new secondary timelines once we create them. Weird. Okay, so he probably has more knowledge on the concepts there. Again, I didn't get to take a very close look at it, and I've been talking with people so much I didn't even look online. So that's good to know, Eric. That probably means it's, again, just like the primary storyline, like FX Factory was saying, which is probably Nicholas. Hey, Nicholas. Got to hang out with him. He's also a legend. So that means that when once you've collapsed it, it's unable to uncollapse, pop it back up to how it was originally. It's much more like what the primary storyline does. Let's see. Roadmap. Oh, did I say timeline? I said timeline, didn't I? Thank you. Oh, yes. Okay, this is great. I know I've been waiting for a better keyframe editor in Final Cut Pro. I hope we'll get that soon, and auto caption. So what was interesting to me at this session is we had a really amazing session that was talking about inclusivity for people with disabilities, particularly in the area of deafness. So we had this amazing speaker, Storm. She came up on stage and gave us this great presentation that made me realize, okay, I really, really need to be transcribing my videos for YouTube. So I'm going to make an effort to do that. But that said, it really got me considering hopefully, Apple can take this into consideration and say, hey, this is going to open up the ability for people who have difficulty hearing to continue to edit because they can transcribe the video and see what's being said all directly inside of Final Cut Pro. So yeah, I would love all that auto captioning, everything built directly into Final Cut Pro. That would be really amazing, and I think that would open up the doors for people who are hard of hearing or many other disabilities. So yeah, let's see. Mustang is saying, I really hope that Final Cut Pro does not go the subscription route. From what I've heard, that is not the plan at all. So I think you can rest assured. I think the idea behind the iPad is they wanted to make it more accessible to people who are unable to afford a $300 license to Final Cut Pro, but also it continues to pay for the continued development of Final Cut Pro for the iPad. So I understand that you'd be worried about the subscription route. At this moment, I do not believe that is the plan. Appreciate my transparency? Yes, it's because I saw a lot of glass at the Apple campus, so that's why I'm so transparent. Let's see. I use Final Cut for 4 years now, and I really loved it when I converted myself from Premiere, but now I feel like Final Cut is really behind everything. I'm having the idea to convert to DaVinci. Hey, DaVinci's free, so try it out. See if you like it. I mean, what's more important than sticking with Final Cut is that you love the software you're editing in. So if DaVinci is what gets you creative, then use DaVinci. If Premiere is what you like to use, then use Premiere. And just make great videos. That's that's it. Just make videos you love. Tawan is asking, was the waveform issue fixed? It seems like they've introduced some voodoo magic for waveforms, so hopefully. Blink twice if I'm being forced to say these things and someone's in the room with me. No, nobody's here. Tech Mixer dropping in. Sean, so glad that you were able to hang out with me in person. Super fun times. Did I come back with Final Cut Pro merch? The only merch I have, I don't have it in here, it's upstairs. I got a little badge that let me go inside of Apple Park that I picked up. I did not buy any of Apple's t-shirts or anything like that. I'm not somebody that really wears logos or anything, so I didn't get any merch, but it is what it is. Hello from Dubai. Hello to Dubai. Vernum is saying, hello from Paris. Can we hope to have automatic transcription for subtitles, or is it too much to ask? Again, yeah, I'm hoping maybe that session that Storm gave might get the wheels turning on how they can implement that. There are some really great apps. Transcriber over on FX Factory is awesome from Ultimedia, and also Captionator is a great app. So you can check those out, compare them, see which one works better for your workflow. I personally had great success with Captionator, but I know a lot of people are really loving Transcriber also, and Transcriber has a free trial, so that's worth checking out. Matthew Pate is asking, do I play piano? Yes, I do play piano. It's not hooked up right now. It's become a set piece. Unfortunately, my dog hates the sound of piano, so I have to play with headphones or kick the dog out. It's messy over here. Is motion coming to the iPad? They have not commented on that. I have no idea. Hello from KSA. Unfortunately, I'm uncultured, so I don't know where KSA is, but hello to KSA. Anything new with multicam? Nothing new with multicam, but multicams are one of Final Cut's best features. I did a full presentation on it at the summit, and you can expect more multicam videos from me because I learned stuff on stage. It was so cool. I gave my presentation, and then I was answering questions, and people were throwing out tips and tricks, and it was just incredible. I learned a lot, even though I was the one that was supposed to be presenting. So, talking about storage, I'm surprised that Final Cut Pro has not introduced the feature to be able to delete footage that's not being used as in DaVinci Resolve, and the way Final Cut Studio used to be. Interesting. I didn't know that was a feature that used to be there. Technically, you could set up a folder. I don't have my Mac set up for screen sharing. I should have done that. I was just excited to talk to you guys. You could technically make it so it only shows your unused media by using smart collections. And so you can actually see, okay, I have not used any of these clips. You could select them all and you could delete them and you'd be done. So you could do it. It's not an automated process, but I think you would have some good opportunity there. Any thoughts on Mac OS Sonoma upgrade? Did any VFX modules break or work perfectly? Agent Smith, I personally have had I've had zero issues with Sonoma. It's been actually a pretty solid release. So if you have the ability to do a time machine backup, maybe do that. But yeah, Sonoma's been great for me. Safrad saying, hi Dylan, greetings from Hamburg, Germany. Final Cut Pro was the reason for me to switch from Windows to Mac many years ago. I celebrate FCB. Thank you for your great work. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I've been to Hamburg, Germany, in the airport, kinda. So it was awesome. Let's see. Did they demo a M3 MacBook? If so, how smooth was it? Yes, they had all M3 machines running. It was awesome. Everything was smooth. Of course, it's gonna be smooth. It's a demo room on Apple's campus, so it's going to be perfect. But yeah, I have zero doubts, especially with how great performance is on my M1 Max and my M2 Max Studio. M3 is going to be great. Let's see. Anyone have issues with compound clips being nested in drop zones? They always show up with some sort of distortion. Huh, that's interesting that you're having distortion, Wilder C. Harris. I'm not sure if I know exactly what's being referenced to. Yeah. I do know something you could try with your drop zones. If you double click on them inside of your viewer, that opens up the ability to essentially move the drop zone around. You might try that and see if you can adjust things and maybe get it to not be distorted. Did anyone bring up captions or transcriptions? I'm pretty sure that's been brought up quite a bit. So people were very, very vocal at the summit to Apple, which is awesome. I feel like they're listening to us. They're taking notes. So, yes. Any plans on support for AAF exporting for music sound editors? Great question, Wilder C. Harris. So, I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I think they're letting some third-party developers do that. So, what is the name of that app? X2 Pro Audio Converter? I can't remember the name of it. Man, I can't remember the name of anything. My brain is shot. Yeah, X2 Pro Audio Convert does just that. It's really effective. It's $150. I know that seems expensive, but when you're in the professional editing world and you need to do that, honestly, $150 is worth it. It's not a subscription. You own it for life. It works great. Let's see. Backroom editor reminding everybody. Ben, you're a legend. Ben, you need to come to this summit, by the way, to like it. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. Seed Creative, so great meeting you, George and Nick. That was awesome. Glad we got to hang out. I regret not taking a photo with you, but we did get a video, so people will see that soon. Hey, Camera Junkie, thanks for stopping by. Remember to hit the like button. Thank you, guys. You guys are incredible. I appreciate it. Did you really just make a glass window joke? Should have seen that one coming. Nice. I love it. Hope there is a summing option soon for audio editing. Having to compound my final edit to add a limiter and final EQ sometimes creates issues in my edit, especially if it's a long one. I could definitely see that. I would love the ability to just, drag it onto a roll without compound clipping it. Hopefully that's a feature we see someday. I do know Steve Martin from Ripple Training just did like the best audio roll session I've ever seen in my life. I learned a ton. Super cool. And he actually made it seem a lot simpler than I was doing it in my head. But yeah, I would still love that feature. I'm there with you. Thanks for that answer. Resubscription for iPad and probably not Final Cut Pro. Yes, absolutely. Tech Mixer is sitting at the visitor center right now upstairs watching this. Love it. What's the best way to learn audio EQing for Final Cut Pro? Oddly enough, that's a great question, and I'm not the person to ask because audio is likely my largest weakness in Final Cut Pro. So I do what I can, but I'm going to say YouTube is probably your best bet. There are probably thousands of tutorials on audio EQing, so I would start there and get a full education course without going to college. Were there any talks of Apple adding Roto Brush tool? Not that I heard. Here's what I'm speculating. iOS has amazing cutout tools. You can cut out videos now. You can cut out photos. I strongly suspect those have got to be coming to Final Cut Pro at some point. I don't know when, but yeah, I don't. There was nothing said about that. Do I think transcriber for which one do I think is better for the moment? I'm using Captionator. Let's see. I actually have not gotten to use transcriber. I am going off of what the reviews have been, so I have not got to try it. That said, if you already have Captionator, maybe just use the free trial on transcriber to see what works better for you. Yeah. Enrico, glad to see you here. Dude, you're a legend. Loving your editing. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. KSA, Kinshasa, South Africa, maybe? That's possible. Hello to Brazil. Glad you're here. Thanks for all the tips. Hey, thanks for watching. Blessings. Man, you're a legend. You just keep dropping the love. Appreciate it. I would like to see automatic audio ducking in an update. That would be really nice. There are third-party plugins that do that. Man, so struggling to remember the names of things. It's a struggle today. Just Google auto ducking, and I think it spits out an XML that you can use in Final Cut Pro. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, love it. That's what KSA is. Thank you to Agent Smith. Yes, absolutely. Hello from Germany. Love your channel. Thanks. Thank you, Ralph. Appreciate it. I got to meet a couple people from Germany at the session, so very lovely people. Got to go hang out in Germany at some point. Vinark is asking anything about direct BRAW support. Not that I heard. BRAW Toolbox is really great from Chris Hawking. Maybe look into that. But yeah, I didn't hear anything at the honestly, there's if we're being honest, just the new features were the 4 things that were mentioned for the update. So pretty minimal. Anything outside of that is you're hearing rumors probably. Apple's very tight-lipped. They're very good at keeping secrets. So FX Factory says, haven't used Captionator in a while, but I remember it was good, but I am biased towards transcriber and only using it now. So there you go. Coming from FX Factory, you can go actually pick it up on the FX Factory store. When will the M3 release? I think it's out. I don't know, Prince. I'm pretty sure is it out? I don't know if it's out or they sent out the review models or something. It's any day now. High five from Norway. Hey, high five to Norway. Appreciate you. Thank you, Andy. Teflon Tips. Did you mention anything about incorporating some more AI tools to help with our workflow inside of Final Cut Pro, kind of how Adobe has with Premiere? It seems like everybody was. So if you're worried about if Apple is getting that message, they definitely got it at that session. Hey, Dennis, appreciate you stopping by. Prince, never mind, just saw the release. Wow, thanks for sharing. Absolutely. Hey, I guess I answered that question earlier. Let's see. A wonderful evening from Belgium. Hey, to Belgium. I love live streaming is so freaking cool that I just get to talk to all of you guys from all around the world. Learn it from Logic tutorials. Ooh, great. Dennis, legend. Yes, if you are needing to learn EQ, Logic tutorials is the way to go. Would love more options to customize windows like Avid. Would be super useful with multi-display setups. Yes, that is something that I think is really lacking. I do not enjoy multi-display setups for Final Cut Pro, which is a shame because Apple produces some of the very best displays in the freaking universe. So I would love to see, I guess, more customizability. I would love to be able to throw up, say, the inspector over next to the timeline and then just have a single window be my viewer, but it gets messy. James Wells, hey, might have to turn off animations, just got a thumbs up. Let's see, I would Let's see, the new mastering effects from Logic available in Final Cut Pro. Yes, we all said that in the room when we saw the new mastering tools from Logic. That would be incredible if you just dropped it on all your clips and it just did its magic. Enrico saying, I look taller today. Maybe it's because I know the truth. I appreciate that. Does the new tracker utilize Mocha? Nope, it's Apple's own tracking engine. There are tools that use Mocha's tracking engine. If you would prefer that, Boris Effects makes amazing tools. I have a video with them coming out actually pretty soon. But also, CoreMelt uses Mocha tracking. So if that's your preferred method of tracking, you can check out those tools and they can get you set up. Let's see. Yes, absolutely, Prince. Appreciate you. Danny. Yo, bro. Whoa. Oh, let's go. Yes, I love it. Vinark. Thank you. Yes, I know I'm saying your name wrong. Is it Vinark? Vinark? Hello to Ukraine. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. Do I work full-time with content media production? Andy K, I do YouTube full-time. I'm extremely fortunate. It's only possible because of all of you, so appreciate you. Hey, Matthew O'Brien stopping in the chat. Wish I could watch the entire stream, but I'm on a dock shoot in Georgia. Can't wait to get the summit, the deets on the summit. Absolutely, Matthew. Let's chat. I'll give you a call. Brandon coming in with a super chat. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. You're a legend. I'm always helping you after you screw everything up. No way, dude. Dude, your videos are insane. So, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Wow, I got through all 116 messages. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to hit me up. Man, yeah, okay. So, let me give kind of my concluding thoughts on the whole summit. Firstly, if you are able to ever go to one of these Final Cut Pro summits, highly, highly recommend. Not only are you learning amazing stuff in these sessions, but you're also getting to interact with the best of the best in the Final Cut Pro community. It was just jaw-dropping the level of work that all of these individuals are putting in. We had such a diverse amount of skill sets in the group. So it was really incredible. And it also reminded you that Final Cut Pro is actually for professionals. And that was just really inspiring. So if you can go to a summit, highly, highly recommend. It was incredible. And I'm hoping I can go to the next one and the next one and the next one. Secondly, Final Cut Pro update. I was initially disappointed, but after considering it, I'm actually just extremely excited for the future of Final Cut Pro. And I'm feeling more excited than ever, so super cool there. And the next thing is, Apple is really great at making extremely tall doors. So, Apple, if you want to make some tall doors around my house, I could use it so I'm not bumping my head on things. That would be incredible. Wilder C saying, I adore the channel, bro. Really transparent. You really broke the editing glass ceiling. That's awesome. I love it. And Andy K saying, that's cool. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Andy K. You're a legend. How do I get into one of these summits? So the summits they just put tickets on sale. I did do a live stream kind of announcing the summit, but next year I'm going to do a better job of announcing it because I actually met a lot of people that are like, oh, I had no clue I would have gone. So, you just buy tickets online. This year they were $300, I believe, a person. So, it was so worth it. It was just incredible, and I would do it again. It was really cool also getting to talk to the actual engineers making the product that we use and love every single day, and just you get the sense that they're as excited about Final Cut Pro as we are, and that's so cool, and that's what's refreshing. That's what's got me excited for the future of Final Cut Pro. Let's see. Brandon is asking, is anything coming to compete with Motion VFX's rotoscoping plugin subscription? Brandon, that depends on the level of rotoscoping you need. I mean, you could straight up just go to After Effects. That's technically competing. I think it's $21 a month or something for After Effects, but that's also a subscription. You could also purchase Resolve one time with Magic Mask for $300. That's an option. Keeper is great at cutting out people in specific scenarios, so that's a great option if you just need to cut out people. And then also Coremelt has their new Shot Anvil app that I got demoed, and it has the features of Keeper, but it also includes Mocha tracking. So if there's a section where somebody's face is not kind of getting caught with the AI rotoscoping tracking, you can actually use a Mocha tracker to re-add in that portion. So that's pretty cool. I got to take a deeper dive on that, but that was demoed to me. So there's options out there, and of course there's Runway ML online, and you just upload your clip. That's also more of a subscription option there. Hi, sir, to Rahul. Hey, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. Chris saying, can you share a few of the cool tips and tricks I picked up? Chris, let me see if I can set this up. We're doing this for Chris. This is for you, Chris. Can I do it? Let's go here. Hey, my Mac's showing up there. Yes. Okay. Whoops. Oh, I got the wrong angle. Wrong camera angle here. There we go. Okay. I think we're good. I think it's working. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try and share. Yeah, I didn't prep. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, I'm gonna share a couple of the tips that I shared at the summit, because I'm more prepared with those. The big one I shared in the tip session is, how many times have you gone into Final Cut? You've gone to export. We'll go here, and it says this. It says, tutorial, this video is missing offline titles, effects generators, or media. How many times has that happened to you? It's happened to me a ridiculous amount of times. And of course, this is missing media, and I've got missing media here at the end. So what you can do, you can go on over into your index here on the left-hand side, pop that sucker open, and just search missing. And you'll see that that's actually revealing to me the two shots that are missing something. But this works not just for missing media, but it works for missing effects. So this shot is missing an effect. This shot is actually just straight up missing the file. But not only that, let's take a look at this shot. If you go on over into your inspector over here on the right-hand side and scroll to the bottom, you'll notice it says what I'm missing, one missing effect. And it says deleted effect. I realized mid-session that it's not the best name. I should have named it something that stood out. So that's going to be the name of whatever file was deleted or moved or whatever. So if you're missing something, just take a gander there, see if that's what your issue is. But additionally, and this is something that ended up not working. Let's see if we can get it to work this time while I'm live. You can actually create a smart collection inside of Final Cut Pro. So we could go on over here and pop open our little search window here, and we'll just type in missing, and we'll create a new smart collection. And we can call that the missing smart collection. So now we just jump inside the event, and any of our missing media is going to show up here with this smart collection. So that is a tip I shared. I'm sure all of your minds are blown right now because I didn't know that 2 weeks ago. No, I don't know if that blew your mind, but I was just very excited when I discovered that from Dan Svoboda. I can't say his last name, but on Twitter he shared it. Absolute legend. Appreciate that tip. Another tip that I covered over in the session is jumping into multicams. Take a look here. I don't know if audio is going to come through. We'll try. So with multicams, everybody assumes multicams are music only. However, multicams can be anything. They can be a single camera with multiple effects. They can be music, anything. And so what I did is I essentially just took, let me go ahead and delete this multicam. Whoops. Oh, it says it's in use. Let's go ahead and just delete that. Okay. So what you could do is this song, I have a vocal version of this song and I have an instrumental version of this song. And I want to be able to cut between both versions of that song throughout my video. So I can go ahead and just select both of them. Right click, we'll call it multicam. We'll call it music 2 because I didn't delete the other one. And I'm going to just select use audio for synchronization and push OK. So that's gone through. They're stuck together. And from here, just to make this so I can really see what I'm working with, I can jump inside of the multicam. We'll see that this top angle is vocals, so I'm just going to label this to be vocals, and then the second angle is instrumental, so I'll just rename that to be instrumental. From there, I'm going to just assign a role so you can easily see, kind of what I'm doing on the timeline, and we'll back out. And using 1 and 2 on your keyboard, that is going to cut between those. So right now, it's the vocal version. This is my time. I'm on the rise. So that's the vocal version, right? But let's say I just want that line, this is the time. This is my time. This is my time. So this can be super helpful when you are building out a commercial and you want just a really strong statement to be said with the music lyrics. And this just occurred to me a couple weeks ago, and I really wish I had known this earlier because it would have saved me a lot of time. So that was the secondary tip I showed during the session live on stage with some other amazing creators like Steve Martin, Mark Spencer, Jeff Greenberg, Abba Shapiro, Jen Jager. It was just mind-blowing to be up there with all of them. So I shared those and embarrassed myself in front of everybody because one of them didn't work out as well as it did on this live stream. But it was super fun. Everybody was very gracious. So that was the second thing I showed. And I could talk tips all day, but the last thing I'm going to show is again with audio. Actually, this won't be super good to show. This is something that Steve Martin showed, and I was like, I had no clue. I'm going to go ahead and change one of these angles. We'll go over to our audio, and I'll change it over to a surround sound system. And you know what? This is poorly set up for what I'm trying to do here because the one I'm in is not set for surround. Let's go ahead and set that up. Go to modify. The audio, we'll set that to surround. Okay. And now it's not going to work the way it was working for him. Dang it. What did I do wrong? I think I'm doing this wrong, guys. Unfortunately, what was cool, and for some reason it's not working, I have set it up wrong, and I didn't come up with this tip, but in your typical timeline, depending on what you scroll over, if it's multi-channel audio, it has 6 channels. This little audio meter here would show that there's 6 channels of audio. And then when I mouse over this other audio, that would show that it's 2 channels. I set it up poorly. If you're in Final Cut Pro and you got multi-channel audio going on, I think that would be a helpful tip to know. It's just a fast way to see, oh, I got mono, I got stereo, I got surround. It's great. Okay. Poorly done demonstration, but I wasn't set up for this, so it is what it is. Anyway, I'm going to jump on back over to Q&A session here. Thank you guys for the questions. Let's see here. So that was for you, Chris. Hope those were helpful. There were so many amazing tips and tricks showed. Some amazing Apple Motion tips from Jen Jager and from Mark Spencer. It was just such a fun time. Let's see. Tawan is asking if I'm staying up on all the new AI tools to help us edit better. I am not. I'm very focused on how I can make Final Cut Pro edit better for me, but I am really bad at tracking all the other AI tools. There's just so much going on. It's not my field of expertise, but I do hope we get some more of that AI love over in Final Cut Pro. Let's see. Dennis is asking, what's my feeling about Final Cut Pro in comparison to CapCut, DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro for the next 2 to 3 years? Are they feeling behind? I think Final Cut Pro, technically, yes. I think it's behind. In terms of what inspires me to create, I think Final Cut Pro is ahead. So I'm going to probably stay with Final Cut Pro for the next 10, 20 years because it's where I like to be, unless they just straight up say we have stopped development of Final Cut Pro. But I do think in terms of features, yes, they're very much so behind. Let's see. Searching for Stuff is saying, will we ever get a second timeline like DaVinci Resolve? It makes editing so fast. This is a feature I desperately want. I have stated that. I would love that feature very much. I don't know, because Apple, they like very clean interfaces, and multiple timelines kind of goes against that design philosophy. That said, if we had better window management and multiple timelines, that would just be a great world. Brandon is asking, which is the easiest to use, because I screw everything up and remember. Okay, so this is probably in terms of the easiest rotoscoping tool is Envato AI or Keeper. Those two are by far the easiest. The best is, they're all, like Raphael was saying in his live stream, like the best one is actually, they're all different. They all have different strengths. So I don't know the best, but the easiest, in my opinion, is Envato AI. It's very Apple-esque. It just works. It's clean and simple. But even easier than that is Keeper, for the sake that you can just drag and drop directly onto a clip that has a person, and it's going to instantly start cutting people out. However, it's not always perfect, and you don't have the additional tools like Envato AI. Prince, the software I'm using is Ecamm Live. It's down in the description. It is an affiliate link, so if you do get Ecamm Live, it does help out the channel. Dennis saying Pixel Film Studios are following the subscription way. I feel like subscriptions are destroying the whole Final Cut Pro community. That's interesting. I didn't know Pixel Film Studios was doing that. And again, I understand the frustration behind subscriptions. I don't think anybody is actually a fan of them. But I do also see there are benefits to subscriptions. For example, a lot of, I won't say which plugin developer, but a lot of their plugins just, they stop working after 2 years and they never ever get updated. And that's purely from the fact that there's no monetary gain to fix those plugins, right? So if there's a subscription factor, it does give you that continued update to all of your plugins. So subscriptions are so hard. I hate it. We all hate it, but I do also understand the other side. Yeah. There's no win. I wish there was an easy answer there. Searching for stuff. If I am editing in Final Cut Pro and want a map shot, which I do in Apple Motion, how will I sync audio? I mean, how to bring the Final Cut Pro edit in motion so that I can do camera angles as I speak. Okay, so you would probably in Final Cut Pro. Let's see if I can go back to the Mac here. In Final Cut, you could just export your audio. You could go up to File, Share, do audio only, and then you could just bring that audio into motion, and you could sync up your map animation to that. So that would be probably your best bet. Or you could just straight up export your video if you want to tie it into video elements, and that would be a great way to do that. Let's go back over here. Moniz says, sorry, Dylan, I meant to say DaVinci Resolve is able to export the portions used in the timeline with handles and delete the rest of the footage that's not being used. Got a dry mouth here. Okay, I get what you're saying. There is an app, and I just need a better memory, because I can't remember any of these app names. There's, I think it's Work4X, or something along those lines, and it does what you're describing, but again, it's another plugin, so it's not a subscription, I know that, but I believe it does exactly what you're describing. Chaos Control saying it looks like it is working, so that must have been a reference to something breaking. Sebastian, oh, it's your first live stream. Hey, appreciate you stopping by, Sebastian. I was like, I guess I'm coming. It's my first live stream, but nope. Nico, love your videos. Keep up the good work. Hey, appreciate you. Final Cut Pro does it better. Chaos Control, thanks, Pops. That's my dad. He's always here to support me. He came with me to the conference, taught me everything I know about editing. Really cool to have him here in the chat. What's the point of a second timeline? Never heard of this. Sebastian, a second timeline would essentially help if you wanted to go in and pre-select like your favorite parts of B-roll, right? And you could make a bunch of selection cuts and drop them into a timeline. Or maybe you want to bring A-roll into a secondary storyline, and then having that additional storyline underneath means you can just click and drag directly down, and it's gonna copy between the timelines. So you have really easy access to your absolute favorite parts of your videos. That said, Final Cut Pro has so many amazing favoriting tools and keyword collection tools and all that. You can kind of replicate that experience. It's maybe not as intuitive as having a secondary storyline, but the tools are there. It's just a different workflow. Searching for Stuff says, so I keep downloading photos and videos as I edit. Is there a way like I press refresh and all the media is visible in Final Cut Pro? That is a great question. That's a feature I would love. So this would be essentially like a watch folder. There is not, to my knowledge, a way to do that, unfortunately. Searching for stuff, yeah, you have to drag and drop every time. It starts giving issues like missing media. It lags a bit. Sometimes it's so hard. I was using Luma Fusion on the iPad and media management was so easy. That's probably because the media management was all inside of the actual library. So, if you are struggling with missing media a lot of the time, there was a video. I still stand by this workflow, but something to consider is if you're struggling to keep your media, in the same spot, then when you're importing, I'll push Command I. And over here on the right side, there's two options: copy to library and leave files in place. So if you continuously find yourself with missing files and things of that nature, maybe select copy to library. There are major downsides to this, though, in that any media you bring into Final Cut Pro is going to be essentially duplicated. So if you had a music file in your Finder, you clicked and dragged it into Final Cut Pro, it's going to create a duplicate version. Just like with if you had a 100 gigabyte video file, brought that into Final Cut Pro, it's going to get duplicated. So that's the downside, but it also keeps all of your media managed super easily, just like Luma Fusion. Going back to Q&A, Arigato Sensei. I appreciate you, Brandon. You're a legend. EK Photography saying woohoo. Love it. Woohoo. Searching for stuff. We need more Apple Motion tutorials plus a video on all tools explained. Searching for stuff. I have a new Apple Motion tutorial every single week, so I'm doing the best I can. Ripple Training has amazing Apple Motion tutorials. Jen Jager, who's also, she's so cool, and she's also about 5 feet. So when I'm 6'4" and she's 5 feet, we're just it's a great photo. I'll have to post that to the channel. But anyway, Jen Jager has amazing Apple Motion tutorials. Yeah, there's resources out there. I think that for some reason, Apple Motion kind of gets squashed in search results. It's kind of hard to find in YouTube, but once you really start deep diving and searching in YouTube, they are there. So anyway, there we go. Chaos Control saying, can you show how to bring audio into Motion to sync my animation? It's a little mysterious. If not now, maybe a Motion tip at a later date. Yeah, I could quickly do that. So let's go ahead and take a look over here. And let's say we want to export this audio. I'll just go up to File, Share, Export File. Actually, I should have selected audio only. Let's do that again. File, Share. Here we go. We're going to do it. Audio only. Music. We'll just drop it on the desktop here. And then Motion, we can try and open up. And this could take years. Sometimes Motion takes a long time to open. I don't know. It's usually, if I haven't opened it for a few days, it chugs. And EK Photography, hey, I love you too. Appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by. And thanks for always, you comment a lot. You watch my videos. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so if you wanted to import your Motion stuff, you could do a Motion project. We'll push open here. And just like any other file in Motion, I'll push Command I. We'll go to the desktop and bring in our music. Boom, we've imported it. You'll see that we've got this green line here. So what's cool is there's also this audio option. So I can click that and we'll have this audio timeline. Look, we have two timelines. This is the feature we want in Final Cut Pro. 2 timelines. So we got our music timeline and our regular timeline. And you can, of course, move your music around here in motion, which is cool. I can zoom in there. Yeah, we can go ahead and make that a larger audio waveform by clicking on this button. A bunch of stuff. But also, you can go over into this audio tab, and you can adjust the volume on your audio. You can solo it or mute it or unmute it. Yeah, just a ton of options. So that's how you'd basically bring audio into motion. Excuse me, man. Don't drink carbonated water before you do a live stream. Let me just say. Yeah, that's the audio workflow for motion. There are a few things to consider. One, people are always asking me, "Hey, can you bring audio into a title template for Final Cut Pro and then have that title always play audio whenever I drop it on the timeline?" That is not a feature that's available. That's something I've requested with Apple. Would love to see it. I gotta send that request again. But yeah, so that's not possible at this time. Audio does not pass through. And that also causes problems because I used to create an audio visualizer inside of Motion, but you couldn't make that visualizer work inside of Final Cut Pro. So that's a question I would get a lot. Let's see. Searching for stuff says, I tested DaVinci Resolve a bit and YouTube is filled with everything I need, but for Apple Motion, there's hardly anyone except a few. By the way, I love your tutorials more than anyone else. They are easy. Hey, so glad searching for stuff. It's hard to find the right tutorials, and everybody has a different way of teaching. I'm really glad that a lot of people enjoy my style. But yeah, it's hard to find the right style for you. But if you like my style, then you'll probably like my Apple Motion tutorials. EK Photography is saying, does upgrading Final Cut Pro versions affect any motion template plugins if I decide to go back? Thinking about upgrading to 10.7 when it comes out, currently on 10.6.5, and it just works. So that's a good question. In general, I have had very minimal issues with upgrading in Final Cut Pro and breaking plugins. You can, in fact, backdate your motion templates. If you just if you Google motion backdate, template backdater, I think is what it's called. There's a website that allows you to upload your file and it'll backdate it to an older version of Motion. There's also an amazing app, and I cannot live without it, called pFixer. I don't know why it's called pFixer. Plugin Fixer maybe. But that allows you to fix all of your plugins at the same time in just one mass batch. There's 2 versions. There's a commercial license version and there's a personal version. I think the personal version's $20, but it also has a free trial, so you can try it once or twice and see if it works for you. So pFixer is incredible. I want to add it into a little video at some point, but yeah. Let's see. Interlude saying, struggle to buy my new MacBook between 18 Geo and 36 Geo, and wow, it's 108 already, but have 16 gigabytes now, and it is enough for what I do. But with all the new heavy 3D tools and AI, it may be better to go for the 36 gigabytes. If you have the ability to, I would recommend going for more. It's more expensive up front, but it's also going to last you longer into the future. And they're making these computers so amazing. It's very worth it. So if you are financially able to, highly recommend that you go for it. Let's see. Oh yeah, EK Photography is saying the exact same thing. So appreciate you. You should be doing the live stream for me. Moniz, hey, thank you so much for the super chat. I really, really appreciate that. Searching for stuff is saying, how do you zoom in out in that viewer in Motion? Is there a shortcut? I hate clicking on that button on top and keep adjusting percent as needed. Also, how do you move once it's zoomed in? This is a significant problem in Motion searching for stuff. Those specific areas, the timelines and stuff, are really bad for zooming. I might be pressing the wrong buttons, but the zoom features are kind of broken down there in the timeline. So I think the struggles you're having are the same struggles I'm having, unless I'm misunderstanding the question. But yeah. Let's see. Ben is saying, I appreciate all your help your channel has provided. Hey, so grateful, Ben. Thank you so much. Could go for 32, just I could not afford to upgrade to a 1 terabyte SSD as I have now. Have to make a choice, RAM or SSD. Ooh, that is a tricky question because I love the internal storage on the Mac. That might be a coin flip. You just got to flip a coin and pick accordingly. Thanks, not motion. I meant plugins in the motion folder. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's going to be the same thing, EK Photography. So they're all designed in motion. So using pfixer will fix the motion templates in your motion folder, if that makes sense. Patrick Master saying, I wish Apple would stop with the 8 gigabyte base. Yep. I think a lot of people agree with that. I'm sure there's marketing reasons behind it. That said, I don't know. Maybe there's got to be people out there that 8 gigabytes is enough for. Think of the grandmas who are just using their computers for FaceTime. I mean, they're out there. So thanks, guys. Daniel's saying, after this global summit, do you think Apple is going to accelerate the development of Final Cut Pro to be at the same level of DaVinci Premiere Pro? Daniel, I actually don't think that Final Cut Pro will ever be at the same level in terms of features. I do think it'll be at the same level in terms of enjoyment in editing. Chris is saying, can you make tutorials on how to create videos like Magnets Media or Iman Gadzi? They are so intricate, and there isn't a lot of tutorials with Final Cut Pro in Motion, except Premiere or Resolve. Subscribed. Chris, I will take a look. I do like, I watch Magnets Media. Really incredible stuff. I think that would be a great tutorial, so I'll see what I can do there. Chris, another Chris. Hey, may I ask about a strange behavior in Motion? Every time I want to ease the Bezier, multiple handles, pressing Shift in keyframe editor, always a handle goes crazy. Is it a bug? Many thanks. So, Chris, when you push Shift on your handles in Motion, it's going to lock it to a certain axis. So that enables you to get really precise curves. So when you're pushing Shift, it's just locking that. You're probably pushing Shift so that you select multiple points. However, there's actually, when you push Shift in Motion, it selects a single individual keyframe. It's super annoying. Drives me insane. So just box select over all of them. Click first, and then you shouldn't need to push Shift when you're moving stuff. And if you don't want your Bezier handles to go crazy where it's pointing off in weird directions, then where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, just don't press Shift, or just make sure you have all of the same keyframes selected at the same time. Again, you're going to need to do box select. That's the key. Click and drag over it, but then don't push Shift while you're doing that. It gets me every time. So hopefully that makes sense. Happy to know everyone is in the same pain. FCP, Apple Motion are so amazing, but some things are hard to handle. I agree. It's difficult. But grandmas buy MacBook Pros. Also a good point, Patrick. Good point. Rich grandmas, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they want the HDMI port. I could see it. Let's see. Texas Motor Rock. Is there a way to export only a part of a video to be used over and over in multiple videos? I made an intro video and one video for my channel, and I have to always copy and paste from the original. Texas, yeah, you could technically go in Final Cut Pro. Let me go to my Mac here, and I got to wrap up this session. If you ever want to export a specific part of your timeline, you can make a selection with I and O, or you can use the range selection tool and click and drag. Once you do that, you can go up to Export, Share, and you're not going to want to select Export File. Let's see here. Actually, yeah, you could do Export File. Just go to Settings and make sure it's not Video and Audio. Make sure it's like one of these publishing options. I think I'm blanking here. I think I'm saying something wrong here. I do believe you can export just a specific portion with video and audio. So forget everything I just said. Just range select it. I think there was a bug before where that wasn't working, so that's why I was going on that tangent. So go ahead and just select that small portion and push next, and that will export that video, and then you can import it into future projects. And you could also use post haste. I have a video on it. I don't have a link to it, but just look up post haste. and it lets you build a template folder. So you could take that video file you created and you could bring it into that template folder by essentially creating a library in Final Cut and then drop in your little intro, right? Then with that template folder, every time you recreate it, it's going to already have that intro for you loaded up into your library. Hoping that makes sense. I'm totally running out of time, otherwise I'd show you all of that. But yeah, just take a look at Post Haste, export a part of your video, put it in that library, and you'll be great. She's 69-year-old grandma and need 32 gigabytes of RAM. I hear it. I'm just thinking of the 114-year-old grandmas who like HDMI ports. I don't know. All right, guys. I appreciate all of the messages. I'm gonna do. Let's see. Could I please? Renee is asking if I could please do a color grading tutorial. I really would like to recreate the look of Johnny Harris, but failing each time I'm using Final Cut Pro course. Renee, here's what I would do. Let me go back here to I'm going to go full face mode. My friend Dylan John and Brad West, both of them have dropped some of the best color grading courses ever. Brad West is a great way to get core concepts quickly, and then Dylan John's is a super extremely in-depth. So I would check out both of those channels, Brad West or Dylan John, and they have amazing color grading tutorials. They both dropped courses, and I highly recommend both of them. So I am actually far from a color expert. I rely on them for my color grading advice, so I would go there if I were you. Alrighty, everybody, thank you so much for stopping by. I gotta wrap this up. I gotta eat some lunch. So it has been a tremendous amount of fun hanging out with you, and let's do this again soon. Thank you. Hopefully you can all go to the Final Cut Pro Summit next time. It was just really an incredible experience. Looking forward to hanging out, and I am working on getting my next video out here really shortly. Should be, I think, some Final Cut Pro shortcuts that you should all know. So thanks again. Hit that like button if this was helpful to you, and we'll hang out again in the future. All right, I'm going to push this finish button. So peace.